That's not the right Flash.
What?
That's not the right Flash.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I watched the Flash thing that you said.
No, you watched Flash Gordon, didn't you?
Oh my god, that was his name.
Yeah, we were watching the Flash on the CW.
Oh, you mean that little show with the little guy that runs around?
Yes.
Well...
I'll be right back.
Wait, where are you going?
You'll fix this.
How?
You'll find out.
We just pause and I'll go watch the show. I mean, sure, we'll have to delay the, episode, but it'll be okay.
No. I'll fix it right now. Bye.
Weird. Welcome to another episode of our BFF Summer Binge. We're your hosts. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Joe. And today we're talking about The Flash from the CW.
Yes, the CW Flash. Not to be confused with any other Flashes that may or may not exist.
That would be bad. It is based on the DC Comics character. It is relatively faithful to the comics from what little I know. And it stars Grant Gustin as Barry Allen, or as I like to call him, that kid from Glee.
You don't like to call him that.
I have called him that.
When?
A couple of times.
I don't remember that.
Well, I did. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about today is the show. And I guess we could start with general. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's definitely one that we're not used to watching network television, so it was a little difficult to get into this show at first. It definitely took me a few hours to get into it. Each episode's about 45 minutes long.
Roughly.
And it's a little rough at the beginning. The pilot is very corny. A lot of the stuff is very corny, but that's very network television. That's very comic booky, but we're used to watching Daredevil and other grittier things on Netflix.
That typically has a slight tighter storytelling method. Even if it stretches the story out over too many episodes, and like Daredevil, for example, each episode is tighter and more compact. More gets done, so to speak.
These are 23 episode seasons, each at 45 minutes or, more or less, give or take. So it's a lot of material.
Which both have to tell you a part of the overall arcing meta plot and
the monster of the day.
And the monster of the day. Both. It's got to have both in there somewhere.
So, yeah, definitely hard to binge all at once because just the sheer number of hours that you have to watch and then repetitiveness and frustration that you get with going, okay, we've seen this before. How are they going to do it now? It's
basically, at the end of the day, it kind of proved to us that even the best of network television is still network television.
Some of the characters that were a little annoying to me at first, particularly was Cisco. I did not like his character at first. It's like, oh my gosh, who is this nerd? But then, his nerdy qualities really grew on me, even though he's definitely knows every bit of pop culture geek, which is common in a television show where they know everything to reach the widest audience. But it felt authentic coming from his character.
Yeah, it felt like he actually cared and he just wasn't spouting off gibberish all the time. And I think part of that is because when he does make the jokes, he's usually making a joke reference to we'll say Doctor Who, but he'll make a joke to something that's only literally in one or two episodes, as opposed to joking about Daleks, comparing the villains to the Daleks or something like that. He'll make a joke about companions or
something more obscure.
Yeah, something a little more obscure about the stuff. So it feels like he actually he's not just reading off of a Reddit message board.
Another character that was really great, which has different iterations because of multiverse, is Harrison Wells. Who we first meet and are suspicious of in the first season because he's going to this secret room.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the season, or even before then, we learn that he's not really Harrison Wells.
He's the Reverse Flash. We don't even know who that is technically, but then we find out more. It's probably about about a third of the way through the season, we start getting like he is the bad guy. He's just, we don't know what his motives are, and that's really the bulk of the mystery of the first season. Is like we know he's the bad guy, and even like 2/3 of the way through the season, Barry and the rest of them know he's the bad guy. They just don't know who he really is or why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, and so a lot of the first season is also characterized by a Barry getting his powers and learning to use them effectively, trying to be fast enough to beat the Reverse Flash. And the second season, which we get a different version of Harrison Wells, an actual one, but he's from Earth 2.
There's lots of multiverse stuff. As the show goes on, it gets crazier. Like the first time they even deal with a multiverse situation, it's kind of a big deal. It's like this huge deal. And then by season 3, they're just like, whatever, we'll just hop over to Earth 12.
Yeah. So Earth 2 is a lot more technologically advanced, and they've had a lot more wars than we've had. And it kind of feels like it was like colored in sepia tone, like nostalgia
like the
tone.
sun is weird.
Yeah, it looked weird, and so he's like very revered over there. Like the particle accelerator worked properly, so he's not like a vilified figure. He has a daughter, and he's very crass.
Yeah.
Like when he tries to interact with the team, like, you know, he looks like the person they know, but his personality is not.
Not even close. Not even close to fake Wells.
And then they get away with that by having him address them differently. Like he, instead of talking to them in first name basis like the first Wells did, he is last name basis. But I really grew to like that iteration of Wells as well.
I think the whole team did, because at the end of the day, they knew he was being genuine. Like he was crass and rude, like you said, and treated them with a certain distance. But at the end of the day, he was genuine with them and honest, and that I think is why they grew to love him so much.
And so the second season is really characterized by this whole multiverse thing with Earth 2 and Zoom, a new speedster.
We find out more about Barry's ability to like do time control and like jump to other plane or other realities and all sorts of other junk, and it starts getting really weird. Like this is literally when the show starts getting really weird.
And there's a character that comes in who is also the Flash from Earth 2, Jay Garrick, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding him. And about halfway through that season, there's a big turn where we learn that he is Zoom.
Yeah, he is Zoom. Jay Garrick, as far as we know, didn't really even exist or something. And it's really interesting because he talks about like his doppelganger, because it's the other thing is everyone has a doppelganger on Earth 2. I don't think that's the accurate term, really, but that's what they called them, and that's cool. Like Cisco's is a crime lord and a supervillain, while Barry's is like cowardly and married to Iris, but like Joe hates him.
Joe's a lounge singer.
Joe's a lounge singer instead of a detective. I think Iris and Barry are both in the police force. Like Iris is like a detective and Barry is a CSI person as normal. But there's just lots of little differences about Earth 2. For example, other things. Caitlin is a supervillain.
Killer Frost.
Killer Frost. Which becomes a big point in the plot as the story goes on.
So by the end of season 2, like they're able to defeat Zoom and send him into the Speed Force and like the Speed Ghosts, which is not their real name, but that's what I call them.
They're like Reapers or something like that.
They're able to destroy Zoom, and so everything's all good.
It's like they don't even destroy him, they like subjugate him. They capture him and turn him into something else to work for the Speed Force or something. It's weird.
Yeah, and so you think everything is good, but then Barry's father is murdered. And so he decides to go back in time to prevent that from happening and creates Flashpoint.
Which is season 3. The very beginning of season 3 is like 2 episodes all about Flashpoint. And it's like everything Barry did, because basically the ultimate catalyst is he went back in time and stopped his mom from dying. That is the big catalyst for Flashpoint, which at the end of season 1 he had the chance to do, but he realized it would be a bad idea, so he didn't. So nothing really changed.
And so a lot of season 2 is about him getting over her passing, but then his father being murdered
like
opened
right
up,
in front of him.
yeah, opened up the wound of that.
So in Flashpoint, so much has changed. It's not even just little things. Like
It's yeah.
now Wally is the Flash, and he and Iris haven't really been a couple or anything, and or even know each other that well because he never went to live with Joe.
Yeah, and Joe is like the worst detective. Like, I
Drunk
don't know
all
how
the
he even shows
time,
up to work.
apparently he's missed 20 days in 3 months or something like that, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Caitlin's an ophthalmologist. Cisco's a billionaire.
Yeah, runs a mega corporation kind of thing. He's turned Star Labs into like some sort of think tank.
So eventually Barry tries to go fix everything again by not saving his mom. And when he comes back, like everything is not quite the same.
The bulk of it is, but there's like little differences. Like everyone kind of is in the same place they were at the very beginning, like towards the end of season 2. You know, Joe's still a good cop, and Iris works for the newspaper, and everything is relatively normal. Like the Earth 2 Wells and his daughter are back on Earth 2, but that's because they left right before Barry did Flashpoint. They addressed that as well. But everything is relatively the same, but there's little differences here and there. Like Cisco's brother Dante died, like in a car accident. Or one of the characters from Arrow, Dig, had a daughter before Flashpoint, but now has a son. So it's little things. And the only person that knows all of this is Barry.
Yeah, because he's the one that experienced.
Yes.
The
his memories
worlds.
are still intact.
So he remembers everything that has happened, but doesn't understand why everybody's mad at him, because everybody's mad at him. Iris and Joe are mad at each other.
Yep.
Cisco's mad at Barry, and he tries to fix everything and eventually has to come clean and tell the truth.
Which makes things rough, but it does end up fixing stuff for the most part. Not like the big stuff, like Cisco's brother is still dead.
Yeah.
And things like that. But for the most part, things are better.
And so this is the opportunity for our new villain, who first starts out as this alchemy guy, Dr. Alchemy, as Cisco likes to call him, reigniting the people that were metas in the Flashpoint. Like, he's giving them their powers back. So, like,
Right.
Wally in Flashpoint was Kid Flash, so he's able to give the powers back in theory.
That's like one of the big points of the whole season is Wally really wants to have powers again. So
Because he's jealous that Jesse has powers.
well, and when he found out he had powers, it made it even worse. He had powers in Flashpoint. I mean, but yeah, the story they kind of point out that that's what Alchemy's doing, is bringing all these people that had powers in Flashpoint into this world.
So because of all of this
Chaos
in Flashpoint, eventually the Harrison Wells from Earth 2 comes back with his daughter because he needs to help her with her powers, and they're on the search for a Harrison Wells that is as smart as him to try to help them because he needs to go back to his Earth.
It's, as a side note, also related to the Flashpoint situation. When Harrison Wells and Jesse get back, they're outside of that original timeline problem Barry caused. So they remember everything like Barry remembered everything.
Yes.
Same with Jay, which we find out at the end of season 2. There was actually a Jay Garrick. There's a guy in an iron mask. He's the actual Jay Garrick, who's a Flash from a newly discovered Earth 3.
So many Earths.
Too many Earths. Too many Earths.
Too many Earths. Anyway.
So, yeah, he comes back. They start looking for new Wells.
And so that is pretty funny. They get 4 messages back that were, like, they sent something that only the smartest person would be able to encrypt. Like, one of them is a cowboy guy, like from, I forgot what Earth he's from.
Yeah, I don't know.
One of them was a mime, and then there was one I can't remember, but I think the 4th one is the one from Earth 19, which is the one that comes to visit, and he looks like the most, like, stereotypical, like, dude bro.
He's got like a vest on a short sleeve shirt,
chain wallet, carries drumsticks.
He's got this weird like hat. It's not quite a fedora. It's like a mini flat top hat. Like it's really bad. And he's got weird mannerisms of, like, they don't say good morning, they say resplendent day to you.
He's definitely the weirdest of the Wells that we have. And
this is our Wells for the bulk of season 3 goes by the name of HR.
Yeah, HR. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he refers to everybody different ways. He's obsessed with coffee because they don't have coffee where he comes from anymore because it was wiped out. And we quickly learn that he is not an actual scientist, but an author of speculative fiction who got his partner to decode the message so he could come write about the time-traveling multiverse experience.
So, broad strokes, if Harrison Wells himself, if Harry, mm-hmm. Earth 2 Wells, is like a genius scientist, like Albert Einstein level intelligent mm-hmm. type of stuff, creating things, Leonardo da Vinci, whatever, HR is like Steve Jobs. He's like a face for a corporation that makes technology that could not create the technology himself. Not that Steve Jobs couldn't do technological stuff, and HR knows a few things, mm-hmm. but he is not nearly the technical genius that the previous 2 Wells were. Like towards the end when Steve Jobs created like the iPod and stuff, he was like, we need a little device that holds all these musics. Make it.
I'm sure that's the exact pitch.
Exact pitch. And everyone's like, it does need to hold all the musics.
All musics.
But HR is kind of endearing.
Yeah, he does grow on you, but he is very annoying because he is so not smart. And you just it makes you wish that the real Wells from Earth 2 is back.
Yeah, it made us miss Harry like really bad. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't realize how much I would miss Harry until he was gone, because towards the end of the first season when we still had Eobard Thawne Harrison Wells. He like Cisco treated him like a dad. Like he cared about Harrison. Mm-hmm. And when Harry showed up, Cisco was very standoffish with him. Everyone was, because like, we don't trust you because you look like Harrison and we were burned by him, mm-hmm. and you're kind of a jerk to begin with, and you're very blunt and to the point. So it was a very long point, but by the end of it, they really cared about each other, like a father-son relationship, and it's really kind of sweet. So like throughout season 3, whenever they do bump into Harry, because they do, even though we have HR for our Wells for the bulk of the season, they do go to Earth 2 every once in a while and deal with Harry, and it's still really good stuff. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it.
Yeah, some of the lower points of the series were definitely the repetition of the villain types.
Yeah,
with the overarching villain being a speedster.
We're 3 for 3 so far.
I know a lot of people complained about that online as well.
And I do know a lot of the producers of the series said season 4's main villain will not be a speedster. Mm-hmm. He will not at all. So that's good.
So yeah, that's good. The other thing that really bothered me about the show was the relationship between Barry and Iris.
Like, we know the broadest technicalities, like the actual literal technicalities. There is nothing wrong with them being a couple.
Yes, they're not actually related to each other genetically.
I think the biggest issue, and the fact that they want to be a couple doesn't even bother me as much, because they grew up together, and if they don't see each other literally as brother and sister, mm-hmm. then whatever. But the weird part is the fact that Joe is completely okay with it.
Yeah, because he often calls Barry his son.
Wally calls him his brother.
So, yeah, I think I'd be a little more weirded out that my 2 children were trying to hook up.
Get married.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that should have been a point that should have been addressed. Mm-hmm. Like, Joe should be like, I'm just a little weirded out that my kids are getting married. That's all. Just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Because it's really weird, and every time Joe calls Barry his son, it reminds me even more how weird that whole situation is.
Yeah, because it's not like he stops after they're engaged.
No, he doesn't. At one point when Wally goes missing doing stuff, he doesn't want Barry to go after him because he's like, I've already lost one son, I don't want to lose my other son. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, you're the son that's marrying your daughter? Can we talk a minute about our favorite character?
Oh, yes. Let's talk about him.
The best character in the series.
Yes.
The absolute best.
With the worst human name, I guess. Just whatever.
It is. We want to talk about Captain Cold, a.k.a. Leonard Snart, played by the amazing Wentworth Miller.
And then again, yeah, Leonard Snart.
It's so bad.
I know that's actually comic book accurate, but could they have changed his last name to something that doesn't sound like a combination between sneeze and fart?
Fun fact, in season 2, he's Mayor Snart of Central City.
Oh yeah, and the alternate
in Earth 2.
Yeah, Earth 2.
Yep. He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's hammy, but in the best way possible, because he plays it so seriously. I wish I could impersonate it well enough to do it here, because it's so fun. Every episode he's in is a delight, and I don't use that word like fakely or lightly here, because it's entertaining. He is the only villain I'm super happy like completely gets away every time, and he's the only time they reuse villains frequently in this series that I'm really excited to see him. If you notice, Captain Boomerang is probably a more recognizable DC villain because he's used in a lot of other iterations of DC stuff from the Flash Rogues gallery. But he's only in like 1 or 2 episodes of this show. Maybe 1 only. But Captain Cold? Constantly. And Mick, his Heatwave, is his little partner in crime, which it's like a reunion of people from Prison Break there, which is cool.
And his sister, who tried to seduce Cisco.
Who I think genuinely likes Cisco.
Yeah, they got a weird vibe going.
But as a side note, it's just he's so entertaining. There's an episode where it's literally just the biggest crossover of the show so far, where it's the characters from Arrow and Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow and Flash all together. And apparently, if you want the full story, you have to watch or all 4 shows, and there's like little tidbits of each one in each. I don't know. We only watched the Flash side of it. But the Legends are like, oh, you didn't know Snart died. And
I'm like, what?
Yeah, we were just like,
no.
But then towards the end of season 3, when they're building the Speed Force bazooka, which they called the Speed Force cannon at first, but I feel that rolls so much better than Speed Force bazooka.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're building the Speed Force bazooka. The pre-Flashpoint version would have been the Speed Force cannon. But the Speed Force bazooka, when they're building it, they need a power source, and they have to break into an Argus facility to get it. And it's a big deal, because it's like, there's a metahuman dampener there, which that doesn't explain why King Shark could even function if there's a metahuman dampener. Not the point.
They even make a joke about, they don't show the shark in Jaws because it looks so bad. And anytime they use the King Shark or Gorilla Grodd, it's like in darkness to hide the bad CGI.
They have a TV show budget.
Yeah, they're doing the best they can. It could look a lot worse.
I'm more willing to forgive it than I am Wonder Woman's. But...
What's Wonder Woman?
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Anywho. So, he's got to break in there, and he's like, I need a master thief. So he goes and recruits Snart. But he does...
1865
1892.
Okay.
He finds their ship in Siberia in 1892, which I guess... if I watch Legends of Tomorrow,
sense.
Would be before he dies. And it's at a time and place where it's not going to affect anything else in time, probably.
Yeah, because he said he would bring him right back to that place so that it wouldn't mess it up.
So, but yeah, it's just, he's so... And it's really cool to see him transform from just a straight-up villain to, like, a villain with a heart of icy gold.
Yeah, and he makes a comment about, like, Flash, like, you need to be a true hero.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to go off into these areas where you could possibly compromise your values. I like to see you as the true hero.
And he makes it a point, too, that I don't know who said it, but someone tells Barry that towards the end, Snart said he was a hero, that he could sacrifice himself to save others because of Barry. And that's like a good thing to me. Like, everyone talks about in the DC universe that like Superman is a symbol of hope, but the other heroes are symbols of hope to lots of other people. It's good to see that Flash can be a symbol of hope even to a villain. But yeah, we see him starting off as a super criminal, and then like when his sister's introduced, he kind of actually cares about someone.
He has to save his sister.
Yeah.
Because their dad, who's a horrible person.
Monster. And then even when he wins and Snart like frees a bunch of other villains to owe him favors, he doesn't kill Barry when he could. So yeah, he's such a fantastic character. I would watch it for him alone, because he has like the best lines in the episodes he's in, and his delivery is fantastic. Like, if Wentworth Miller ever comes to any local conventions, I have to go get a picture with him because I probably, like, him and Cisco are the reason I love this show.
Yes. So now that we've kind of talked about the big overview, our favorite characters, some things that didn't work too well for us, overall, how would you rank Flash out of 10?
I'd give it a 9. There's little things here and there, like the fact that it's a network television show and the CGI is pretty bad sometimes, and it's repetitive. Like the fact that 3 out of 3 seasons so far, the big bads are speedsters. I still really liked it. It's still really good. I care about practically all the characters. There aren't very many characters in that show I hate. What about you?
I would go 7 out of 10. I think it's still a pretty good show, but a lot of the things are hard for me to overlook with the glut of episodes. And, like, again, I know the CGI is, like, they're doing the best they can, but maybe there could have been, like, a different way to handle some of these things so that they wouldn't have to rely so much on it. And then especially the repetitive plot lines with the speedsters. I think they should have probably gone in a different direction so that it's not like, I get that you need to use a speedster villain, but maybe not do that like in your first 3 seasons. Break it up a little,
while also having at least 2 or 3 other minor speedster villains show up here and there.
Exactly.
Like the rival and whatever the female evil speedster was for a little bit and stuff. I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
I mean, the last episode of season 3 was too many speedsters when it was like 3 or 4 Flashes versus Savitar.
But no Jesse Quick.
Nope. Come on, man.
Of course, it wouldn't be an episode of BFF if we didn't talk about the fan friction that this was a part of. And The Flash was actually a part of 2 fan frictions. You mentioned the musical question earlier. Everybody had to pitch the actual plot of the episode. But we want to talk about the other time that The Flash was brought up. And the question was, who is television's best non-superhero hero?
And it was Adam who brought up Joe West from The Flash.
And he had to compete against Raul, who brought up Dean Winchester from Supernatural, and John Roca, who brought up the Doctor from Doctor Who.
Yep.
And so I think Adam actually had an advantage in this round because Joe West has no superpowers at all. He's not a metahuman.
Yep.
He's just a detective.
He doesn't see or hear time the way it flows, and he doesn't have access to magical mumbo jumbo stuff. So yeah, Joe West he's a cop. It's real life. Yeah,
because you could easily make the argument that, well, isn't the Doctor kind of like a superhero? He can travel through time. He has the sonic, the sonic screwdriver. And then Dean Winchester, like, I don't know about his character from Supernatural. Does he have any kind of otherworldly powers or anything on the show?
No, but he's got that magical gear stuff. At one point, he's got like the jawbone of the first animal or something to kill evil creatures with. I don't know. He's got lots of magical weapons, like guns and knives and stuff like that. And they have a car that has to be its own magical item, which I believe was talked about on Tom Zambino's show by Tom and Kimber.
So yeah, Joe West, I think if the other people had chosen some more street level heroes, even maybe, you could choose other people from The Flash, like Eddie Thawne, who sacrificed himself. Like, that is a true hero. Iris has done some pretty heroic things.
Yep. H.R. Wells. H.R. super heroic at the end of season 3.
Or even, Harry from Earth 2. So, I mean, not that they all had to choose from The Flash, but, since we're talking about that show, might as well bring up some other choices that could have been made that could have equally been good.
Foggy Nelson.
Yeah, that would work from Daredevil, or if you even go through, like, Doctor Who, the other companions, like Mickey, like, he would have been a good choice from that show.
Mickey the Idiot.
Any of the other companions, even, like, sometimes they get powers, but sometimes they're just regular people.
Yep. Like, Donna was a regular companion for a long time, before she was the Dr. Donna.
And, of course, Rose would be good. What about from Supernatural? Who would you have chosen?
It's hard to say in that one.
Because a lot of people probably have powers.
Well, it's not even that they have powers. It's just they I don't know, they have incredible skills outside of the norm. And most people outside of the Winchesters aren't what you would call heroes. They hunt monsters, but it's not like they do it to necessarily only save people. There's a sheriff whose name I can't remember, but there's talk about she's getting a spin-off show after Supernatural ends that they meet at one point. I think it's relatively early on, and she shows up a few times and helps them out and that kind of stuff.
Another one from the Marvel Netflix shows, Rosario Dawson's character Claire.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would have been a really good pick as well.
Yeah, especially by the time this rolls around, she's learned some martial arts and helps them out with it. So I mean, that's pretty awesome. I'm excited to see her in Defenders.
Yeah, so I would like to see some different fighters refight this question because I think it's a pretty good question.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's just our opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to Twitter.
My favorite part of the show, where we get to talk to you guys and find out what you think, because we love you guys.
We do.
It's real. Too real, Roy.
Don't cry too much. Roy's over there.
That's Moss.
Who's Moss?
It's just fun Twitter.
Okay.
We wanted to know what big bad villain you'd like to see in the next season of Flash.
Which I think somebody told us that they already confirmed
the
villain, but you know.
By the time we argued the musical episode, I'm pretty sure they already knew what they were doing for the musical episode, so it's all fun anyway, right?
Exactly. So these are just your speculations, what you would want to see, because maybe you don't even like what they picked.
Our good friend Cal, the Kingslayer, says more Gorilla Grodd.
I like Gorilla Grodd.
In theory.
In theory, but not in practicality because, again, you get that bad CGI going, but...
It's kind of like you always loved that, like, oh, King Shark's going to be, like, a little, like, side note in this episode, too. That's kind of cool, because...
hopefully they don't show too much of him.
Come on, Bruce.
Randall Sands at Randall Sands says, I feel like the show always wastes good villains, but I'm going to go with Captain Cold. I want him brought back to the Flash. I'm sure they can find a way to bring him back from the dead.
Well, he's supposed to be in the next season.
Okay.
I don't know. Of Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know. Tom, Odd Shaped Channel Tom, who we've mentioned recently, would like us to fix Mirror Master, or would like them to fix Mirror Master.
Yeah, I don't think we could fix him.
We could probably.
They stopped taking our calls at the CW.
We could, in theory, fix him. In theory. But, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I didn't like those two characters. It was him and that Topsy-Turvy or whatever they call her.
Yeah, they call her Top, but I'm like, Vertigo would be a better name.
Yeah, like, come on, Cisco. Get it together.
Get your stuff together, Cisco.
I mean, I think
Get it all together and put it in a bag.
I think he was pretty sad when he named her, so...
Yeah, he was like, oh, I don't know, Top? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then it stuck.
Yeah.
He should fix it. Come on, Cisco. Nolan Dean at Nolan Dean 27 said of me, the next villain is going to be the Thinker, a dude who uses his mind as a weapon, so it'll be intriguing to see a non-speedster. Intriguing is not the right word. I think refreshing is the right word. Because we've had almost 70 episodes of speeders as the big overarching villain, and I'm really tired of it. Eric Ossenmacher suggested that he wants, like, we already know who it is, but we'd much rather have the big bad just be like a Sinister Six style team up of all the rogues and all the metas working together, and that could be kind of cool. Like do like they tried to do it with, I want to say Zoom, where like Zoom like plunged the city into chaos and all the metas were like rebelling and stuff like that. But they could really do it better, like have like a meta that actually has stake in Earth One, doing things there, causing problems. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
And it would bring back a lot of those season 1 meta villains that got away when Captain Cold freed them, that we don't know where they are because they haven't shown back up yet. Like the dude who's like made of poisonous gas, and the weather wizard, and
that girl that could like
teleport.
Yeah, she was cool.
The Cyclops wannabe. So that kind of stuff would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know enough about the Flash Rogues gallery to make a suggestion, so I'm just I do want to see the next season.
I do too.
I am hooked enough on the story where I care about watching it. Now, I don't know if I would be willing to watch it week to week, or if I would just wait till it's all on Netflix. We'll just have to wait and see.
I don't necessarily know enough about the comics either, because I know the comics have used a lot of his villains already. And with the Thinker coming next season, we know that. But if I were to choose a season idea, I would kind of go with the suggested, like, lots of metas thing, but I would have it like headed up by Reverb, which is the doppelganger of Cisco in the other world. Like maybe something happened in Earth 2 and he's back. I think he died actually, but there could always be another Reverb in another dimension.
Yeah.
But yeah, like evil Cisco show up and like lead a bunch of metas to do terrible things because with his ability to make portals and teleport people other places, it can be pretty devastating.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of villain that could be not a speedster and pose a threat to the Flash.
Indeed.
Quite.
Well, that's about all we have today.
So, yeah, check us out. We have a very spiritual journey for our next summer backlog, summer binge.
Which, if you follow us on Twitter, you already know what it is.
You do, but I like to be funny.
Or if you watch the credits of this show.
Yeah. But I've been Joe.
And I've been Ashley.
And we are your BFFs.
You can follow us both on Twitter, where I'm at @_Mrs. Davis.
And I'm at Drake Masters. Or you can follow us collectively at geek_2_my_nerd.
Yeah, we should have really thought of a different Twitter, huh?
Or something to replace the underscores.
Either way.
You can find us there. And thank you. I gotta go fix a few things.
Bye!
I really hope I can fix a few things.
Bellamy so cute.
What else is different? Oh no.
What are you talking about?
Nothing, dear. Nothing.